Welcome back to part 2 of the aeroplane. In part 1 I did say that after reshaping the form for the rear seat base that I'll get onto patterning. Now I've kind of changed my mind, so what I've done is I've removed the rest of the covers from the driver's seat and I'm going to take those apart. I'm going to use those as patterns for obviously the driver's seats. They're not drivers, are they? They're pilots. I'm going to use them as a reference for the rear base cushion. There will be some differences, but I'll be able to use them more as a reference than as a pattern. So when I actually make the pattern for that seat, I have something that I can refer to and make sure I'm doing everything right. First job is to start to take these covers apart. I'm going to take the backrest apart first. Now, because this is quite a complicated shape, you've got all these rolls here on the sensors, everything has to be stitched absolutely spot on. Because we're having a check in these centers here, the checks have to line up this way but also this way, which is the hard bit, and because we've got curves going into these pointy bits here, all these seams have to be absolutely spot on to stop the check from dipping one way or the other. I will take the backrest cover apart first. I'm going to have to put quite a lot of match marks onto the cover because there are none. I've not seen one match mark on here. I need to put match marks on this seam before I unstitch this seam, and then I'll put it to one side, work inwards and do the same, match marks everywhere. The more the merrier to a certain extent. I'm not going to go absolutely mad with match marks, but I need enough so that when I sew everything together it's all tickety-boo. So I need to put the start point. I'll put a match mark just here, put one there, that's fine. Now you might notice that these are quite small seam allowances, but I think they'll be alright. So I'll now unpick this, bring it to the bench and just cut through the stitches with a blade. That's my first piece. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Do I want a third one? Do I want a third one? Yeah, I'll put one in the middle as well. So all the pieces for the backrest are now split. I'm going to make this a little bit different to how it was made originally. This centre panel here had folds put in, stitched to create the pocket. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have it so it's one piece. I'm going to stitch a pocket onto the back of it by stitching through this here. Two reasons mainly. The first main reason is that I want to actually foam back this centre panel. That'll just make the fabric a little bit more stable when I come to sew it, because it's a check. I need as much stability with that check as I can get, so just putting some foam on the back of it will just help stabilise that. If I do that, then I'll have quite a lot of bulk on these seams here. So when I come to sew the panel that goes on the side of it, this one here, I won't have a big bulky area where the points line up. And because I'm using leather's a little bit thicker than this, so having a lot of bulk with leather sometimes is a little bit tricky. I will now steam these flat. I'll make patterns. I'm going to put these, because I've got quite a lot to make, so it's 2 pieces for each seat of the sides and 2 seats, that's 4 pieces. So I'm going to put these onto mylar once I've steamed them flat, and then I can just draw around them. Obviously I need to do exactly the same with the seat base. So I'm going to take that apart now, get all the pieces together, and I'll do all the steaming in one go, and then make the patterns in one go. Once the patterns are made, it should be relatively plain sailing. I hope. The sewing will be tricky. We've got a lot of curves and everything has to line up perfectly. I will cut probably all the pieces for the 2 front seats. Hope everything is right, and then I'll do all the sewing in one go and see how we get on. now cut out all the pieces of leather. The next job is to cut the match marks in. Do you know what a match mark is? They're these little dashes that are around the edge of the piece, and each one of them now needs to be cut. I'm going to use a special tool for that. This is it's an ear notcher. It's what vets use, or farmers, and they notch ears of animals, so pigs get ears notched. Sheep, the same. So I did buy a cheap one of these from Amazon and it did break. It was probably a similar price to this one. It was nowhere near as heavy duty as this one, and it snapped with the handle here. I will cut the match marks in all these pieces now. So there's quite a lot of them, so it may take a while, but I get started. That's the boring match marks all now cut. I hope I made it look a little bit more interesting than it was. I now have a little bit of a dilemma. Obviously cut all the pieces out. I've placed some pieces onto the seat. Obviously the centre panels here will be in the check that I showed you earlier. I need to consider where I have this check. I can get 3 orange stripes going up the seat, or I can get 2 orange stripes and more of the white going up the seat. The orange stripe will be right up against the blue leather if I have 3 of them, and if I don't have 3 of them, I'll just have 2, and then the white here is my edge up against the leather. I'm considering just having the 2 orange stripes going down the middle and the white on the outer edge where it meets the leather. What do you think? Do you think I should have more orange or more of the white? No, definitely don't like the 3 orange. Don't know what you think, but yeah, I don't like the 3 orange. I prefer the 3 white. I think the orange is just a little bit too much against the blue. Yeah, I'm sold on just having it like this. I'm going to use the edge of the bench here as my straight edge, so I'm going to get the fabric as close to the edge in a straight line as I can, and then that will stop the pattern from wandering. I need to do the same at the other end, and then I need to put a square on the edge here and make sure that the check lines up in that direction as well as this direction. That is now on the bench as square as I can get it. It's running straight with the edge of the table, and it's 90 degrees to that as well. So I'm just going to measure the panels out. I'll put the match marks in afterwards, because I think these are pretty rectangular. They've been distorted from being on the seats, and they do measure 9 inches, but the seam allowances on these were a little bit skinny, so I'm going to do 9 1/4. I'm only adding 1/8 of an inch to each side, but hopefully that 1/8 of an inch should be great. Now this fabric is wool. It's 98% wool, I think, and 2% polyester. And all wool fabrics are naturally flame retardant, so because this is going into an aircraft, it doesn't have to worry about flame retardant coatings because it's wool. Leather's the same. Leather is naturally flame retardant, so that's why you see people like welders wearing thick leather gloves and leather aprons. Completely forgot where I was then. Anyway, yeah, everything's on the bench and I'm ready to cut out these pieces. So I'm going to measure out the width of the 2 panels for the backrest, the height, and then just cut them. I'll put the match marks in as well because there's a lot of match marks on this, so I need to put all the match marks in on those 2 pieces. Once that's done, I'll foam back them. I'm not going to use my normal glue that's in a spray gun for that. It's just too wet. I'm going to buy a tin of just general spray contact adhesive. A little bit drier, so going on to something like this, it's not going to seep through. Now, I would normally cut fabric like this with a hot knife. This is a hot knife, but because this is wool, I can't do that because hot knife won't work. Hot knives only work on synthetic fabrics, man-made stuff. They don't work on. They just burn it. But because wool is flame retardant, it takes ages to cut through. So I'm going to use scissors, and I'm gonna gently handle these. I don't want them to start fraying because it's a woven cloth. It will fray. I'm gonna glue them to the foam straight away, just so that will stop the edges fraying. This is 3mm scrim foam. If you don't know what it is, it's just a 3mm foam, or 1/8 of an inch, and it has a scrim backing to it. I'm just going to glue this to the centre panels that I've just cut. Going to cut this one off straight away because I'm going to be gluing this bit here. I don't want glue on here. That's that done. So I'm going to have another little look now at the seat. Now I've got one of the panels cut out, or all the panels cut out, I can just place them in it and see how it looks. So that gives you a little bit of an idea how it's going to look. Was I right to put the leather on the front or fabric at the front? But if the fabric's at the front or on the seat, then it has to be the same on the headrest. I'm not completely 100% Sure, either way, I think both ways would have worked. They both looked decent. But then, what do I do with the headrest? If I have check all the way through, do I have a check headrest face and a leather back with leather outers? Or do I have a leather headrest with this? Or do I have just a leather headrest and leather? Let me know what you think. So this now is ready for all the sewing, but that's for another video. So if you enjoyed this one, you think it was worth a subscribe, then please do. Much appreciated. It will really help the channel out. I'll see you in the next one.